I'm just kind of dancing around in the studio, Anita Marks, just dancing around. I don't know why. I love the music. You've once criticized it. People at Sport Trade tell me, what's with the music? I'm not a big fan. You know what? Whatever gets me excited for my own show, that's what I'm going to go with. It is Market Movers. I'm Dan Koob, joined as always by Anita Marks. Anita, we didn't have a show last week. I think you were on vacation a week after that. I'm actually on vacation next week. So for like the first time in 4 weeks, it feels like we get to say hello to each other. How are you?
I know it's been a minute. It's been a minute. You were at the summit, right?
Yes.
Like shaking hands and kissing babies.
As always, as I'm one to do. Yes.
And that's where we met over a year ago now. Can you believe that? That's where I got involved with Sport Trade. Time is
I can't even describe how quickly it all goes.
It's flying by.
I know. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Well, you've had a very busy last couple days. You're crushing it on NBA, obviously. You're a Florida gal, and your Florida teams are crushing it as well. So I can't imagine what it's like right now at Casa de Marks, the esteemed, famed Casa de Marks on game day, NFL and other. We'll start in the association, though. We've got Heat Celtics Game 5 tomorrow night. This blew my mind. Now, obviously, on Sport Trade specifically, we have a market maker who is creating markets for us. We use not only American odds, but implied probability. And I'll flip over to that game now so we can all take a look. Hopefully that'll flip over with us. Let me just go ahead and fix that. Hey, this is live. So we go into our market specifically for the NBA. There we go. And when we look at what's going on, we've got the Heat and the Celtics in Game 5. The Heat, you could bet at 28.5% to win. That's plus 246. The Celtics, this really surprised me, and it is industry-wide, but minus 290, a 74% chance. Anita, make this make sense for me, because I watched all of these games, and I would say I wasn't surprised the Celtics didn't get swept. They're probably talent-wise the second-best team in the league this year. How could anybody consciously bet into minus 290 for the Celtics tomorrow night?
So I think a number of people felt coming in, obviously on paper, the Celtics are the better team, right? Mm-hmm. And we hear it. If you've been watching the series with the Miami Heat time and time again, whoever the commentators are, they're telling you, oh, this player undrafted, Caleb Martin, undrafted, Gabe Vincent, undrafted. Like, okay, we get your point now. There's a lot of undrafted players that the Miami Heat now have starting for them or coming off the bench and producing points. So on paper, you're looking at the Boston Celtics team and you're like, how is this team down 3-0? How are they about to get swept by the Miami Heat? So I understand it. The big two key metrics that have been taking place in this series is the fact that the Boston Celtics have not been able to hit threes, and the Miami Heat have. I want to say in the series, the Celtics prior to last night were averaging like less than 30%. I think like 25 or 26% from three,
Yeah.
where the Miami Heat have not. They've been in the 40, 42, 44% range. So that was like a huge indicator. Also, both Tatum and Brown have been turning the ball over. This is a Miami Heat team. Defensively, they're good. They're pesty, and they like to create a lot of turnovers. Third most defensively, third most turnovers that they're able to generate in the NBA this season. Also, the Miami Heat, prior to the postseason starting, 27th, I believe, in the
offense,
NBA in 3-point shooting.
Yeah. But you know
But
what's
yet
interesting
here,
about that, Anita, is last year with basically the same roster, they were first in the NBA in 3-point shooting. And now they're first in the playoffs in 3-point shooting. It's an anomaly. It's very strange.
So I just share those stats with you just to say that I think a lot of the odds makers are like, okay, smoke and mirrors, we're gonna have to see some regression. And sure enough, we saw it last night, right? And for the first time, this was a Boston Celtics team. They found their groove from behind the arc, and that was, in my opinion, the big reason why they were able to win. And so now, can they repeat that performance at home? They have not been a good team at home, the Boston Celtics, especially in the postseason. Right. Also, they're 0-5 in the postseason in games that are decided within 7 points or less. So, okay, I'm going to commend the Boston Celtics for winning one. I think that I think we go back to the tendencies and the trends that we've seen in this series. And I really like the Miami Heat. In fact, give me the Miami Heat. And this line is right now at 7.5. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes up to 8, 8.5 at tip-off tomorrow night. But you can get that at $48.50 a share on Sport Trade. The Miami Heat at plus 7.5. And so that's how I'm playing this one. I wouldn't be shocked if the Miami Heat in this series in 5.
I love that play. Again, I think Boston is overvalued. I think the Heat continue to be undervalued, similar to the way the Nuggets were undervalued throughout the entire playoffs. Like that ship has sailed now. The biggest reason to me why Boston turns the tide last night, 18 made threes, only 8 for Miami last night. I mean, this Celtics team has basically been a team where if they're shooting above a 40% clip the entire season, and this stat has been repeated ad nauseum, if they're shooting over 40% from the field, from three rather, they win. If they shoot under, they lose. They lit it up last night. I don't think the series goes much further, but that brings me to an interesting point in our futures market. So you're on the Heat plus 7.5. That's plus 104 at Sport Trade, 48.5%. I'm totally with you there. We'll flip over to our futures market because I do think this is really interesting. And I mentioned how I feel personally the Celtics are just overvalued at this point. You take a look. You've got the Nuggets at 68% chance. That's minus 217. The Heat with a 20% chance, plus 392 to win the NBA championship. The Celtics were at 17. Now, no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit. They'd have to win 3 more games in order to do it. I don't think it'll happen. It's never happened. We have 152 examples of it not happening, or whatever the number is. So I don't anticipate it's going to happen. At plus 478, this feels like a great shorting opportunity because you can short them for $14.50 per share. Of course, shares 0 to 100 at Sport Trade. That feels like an absolute slam dunk. I don't foresee an opportunity for this Celtics team to rip off 3 more wins in a row against a Miami Heat team that continues to show us that they're just tougher. And the coaching mismatch. I think we talked about it weeks ago. Doc Rivers versus Joe Mazzulla. What did I say? I said, it may not be this series, but there will be a time when Joe Mazzulla is completely overmatched by a coach. Now, did I think it was going to be Eric Spoelstra in the Eastern Conference Finals? Probably not, right? As an 8 seed. But that's what we're seeing. I think this is a slam dunk short.
Speaking from somebody who's from Miami and knows this Miami Heat franchise extremely well, and I had the pleasure of meeting Eric Spoelstra years ago on South Beach when he was just the tape guy.
How was his hair? He probably had amazing hair then too.
Oh yeah, ugh. Thick, bushy, but he
so
just, it was great. He's like, oh, I work for the Miami Heat. What do you do? He goes, I'm just the tape guy. I'm like, so what does that mean? He says, I show Pat Riley tape from our opponent coming up in the day or two, and I share with Pat what I see and what the tendencies are and what we discuss what we need to do. I was like, that's really cool. He's like, yeah. And now here, he is the head coach of the Miami. Could not root for a better dude. Could not really he's awesome. And I honestly believe he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. His father was a coach. Yeah. He grew up around basketball. Pat Riley's like a godfather to him. He just has the tutelage. So I'm with you. I think Joe has met his match here. That's why it's another big reason why I do like the Miami Heat to win tomorrow night in Boston. In regard to the futures market, again, I know it's been a hot second since you and I have posted a show here on Sport Trade. If you recall, I've been on Denver since day one.
Now, hold on, because you tweeted about this, and I want to remind you, Anita, you were all over the Lakers, too. What a Sophie's choice this Western Conference Finals must have been for you.
Wow. Pulling out an old movie, Dan. Hey. Really showing our age there. But since here's the thing. I liked what I've seen from the Lakers, especially since the trade deadline. But I've always liked Denver to win the championship. I've always had Denver to win the championship. And you could still get that on Sport Trade at $68. That's what it's trading at right now. Here's the thing, Dan, this team's on 9 days rest. And so now, and that's got to be extra motivation for this Miami Heat team to win tomorrow night. Now if they would have won last night, now they would have been on 8 with Denver with 9, because now they don't play until tomorrow night. Yeah. Their rest disadvantage now goes to 6 games as opposed to 8. If they lose in Boston again, it'll go down to 4 nights instead of 8. There's a lot of motivation there, because now this is a Denver team that's sitting back and just getting healthy, resting up. This is what we saw last year. To me, this is why the Boston Celtics lost last year, because they didn't close out series when they needed to. They went the distance and they had no more gas left in the tank when they made it to the championship. So I just love this Denver team. I love them even more. And again, at trading at $68, I think that there's still some good value there.
I think I need to see a historical analysis of rest versus rust before I make an actual statement about anything like that. I just how much rest is too much rest, right? Is 7 days better than 9? Is 9 worse than 7 because now you haven't played X amount of time? I just need to see historically how many teams have succeeded because they've had 2 more days of rest or something like that. I just, we're not on the teams. I didn't play professional basketball, right? I think it's so funny. It's such a great talking head storyline now, because we're going to have a week to fill before game 1 of the NBA Finals next Thursday. All you're going to hear about is rest versus rust when nobody really knows anything. Okay. The Heat, hot. The Panthers, hot, but they play on cold. Think about that. NHL, the Panthers and the Hurricanes going to, I believe, a game 4 with the Cats up 3-0. Again, an improbable South Florida run for an 8 seed. I know hockey doesn't really do it that way. Pull up the game script here. Florida does indeed lead 3-0. They are a 52% chance to win tonight. That's -111 on their home ice. The Carolina Hurricanes, 49.5 at +100. Curious for your play here, Anita, but I do have to ask, are you surprised of the ease, frankly, of which the Florida Panthers have moved through the Eastern Conference playoffs, especially even against a Hurricanes team that I think is pretty darn good?
Are you kidding? I mean, they beat Boston.
I know.
Look at who they've had in their path, and they've won, and they're advancing. It's really, there's got to be something. I've said it's got to be something in the water down there in Florida. It's insane to me.
Sunrise, Florida.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Sunrise. A little too far west for my blood.
Fair enough. It's a little panhandly.
If you're in Florida, you want to be as close to the east as possible, so you can be as close to the beach as possible. It's a little too far west for me, but nonetheless, I like the Florida Panthers on the money line tonight. And again, that's trading right now on Sport Trade at $51.50. You can say arguably best postseason performance of any goalie in the history of the NHL, a 98% save rate. Um, uh, Bobby is only allowed more, he's not allowed more than 2 goals in each of the last 2 series. Just marinating that for a minute. And we're talking about the Canes and the Maple Leafs, who offensively have been terrific. So it's not like we're talking about like, you know, a Florida Panthers team going up against 2 opponents that have struggled offensively. On top of that, they're 6-0 in overtime. They're 7-1 in single goal games.
It's amazing.
It really is. It is really amazing. So I like this Panthers team. I think they close it out tonight. I'll lay the, you know, I'll buy the shares at 51.50, and also for them to win the cup, $43.50. Why not? I mean, really, they are the story. They're coming in. They are hot. Here's another thing. What I like about them is like they're playing on borrowed time, Dan.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like it's skate free and fancy free, right? Like there's just they've excelled so far above expectation that there's really there's no the pressure isn't there, and they're having fun. Like this is a team, you're watching them, they're having fun doing it, because I don't know if they believe themselves what a magical run this has been. I just think they check all the boxes in so many ways.
It's so interesting to me because I kind of feel like the Golden Knights are the same way. I feel like the pressure was more on Colorado to repeat, and they went out immediately. And Vegas, and here, like, kudos to the people who run the Golden Knights. They've been in existence for 6 years. This is their 6th season. It's their 4th Western Conference final, and they might go to the Stanley Cup Finals for the 2nd time already. I root for a team, Anita, that hasn't won a cup in 40 years. Okay, they can't even make the playoffs 2 years in a row. It is maddening how well run the Golden Knights are. I'm not surprised the Golden Knights here are 52% chance here at -111 in the futures market. The Panthers +127. I think straight up, it is an interesting matchup. I mean, Jack Eichel has been completely unlocked by this Vegas Golden Knights team. I think their depth is really great. But we said all these same things about the Bruins, and it didn't really seem to matter either. But there's something about away teams going to Vegas, I think, that for whatever reason seems to help them at home. Major League Baseball, a ton of games, Anita, going on right now, including the easiest bet I've made all season, and I'll show it to you right now, and that is the Arizona Diamondbacks were just -114 to defeat the horrid stench emanating from South Philadelphia right now in Citizens Bank Park. That is my Philadelphia Phillies. They suck. There's no way they're coming back. They're terrible. South Jersey's own Zach Gallen on the hill today has been mowing them down. And to me, this was mispriced all over the place. And Sporttrade didn't even have the best price. I don't even care. I would have bet this at every sports book anywhere. The Phillies at like +102 and a -114 strike today. Couldn't believe the disrespect that Arizona was getting. Your Arizona Diamondbacks team, you've been on, again, since day one.
Mark
Stradamus over here is over here just calling winners left and right.
And that over-under win total was 74.5. I said, take the over.
Unbelievable. 74.5.
I said, take the over. This team's going to be special this season. Take the over. That was my best futures bet heading into the Major League Baseball season.
Well, they're going to help you today, that's for sure, because they're about to sweep the Phillies. You're on the Yankees tonight.
I am. How about this Yankees team, since Aaron Judge has come off of IL because of that hip injury? I wish Sporttrade had home run futures bets. I'd bet that as well for Judge tonight. So yes, I'm on the Yankees on the money line. You can get it at $36 right there per share. They won last night in 10 innings, Volpe walk-off RBI. So they're coming in with the momentum. Obviously, as we know, a division rival, and you've got an American League East division, arguably one of the best in all of sport, Dan. Yeah, I mean, there's not a bad team in this division. They're all chasing the Rays right now. The Yankees 3-1 this season against the Orioles. They've won 5 straight. They've won 8 of their last 10. They've got Nasty Nestor on the bump today. Yeah, 5.21 ERA, but he's actually pitching a lot better than what his ERA replicates or represents. Wells is pitching for the Orioles. Now he's 3-1 with a 2.94 ERA, but he's allowed 10 home runs in 52 innings. And the last time he went up against the Yankees, he gave up 2 home runs. Aaron Judge batting 382, 8 home runs. He bats 471 against Wells. He's got 3 home runs off of Wells. Rizzo's going to be playing. He's going to be in the lineup as well, so he's got that protection. This is a Yankees team. They're averaging 6 runs per game. They're in that hitter-friendly ballpark, as we know, with that short porch. So I love the Yankees tonight. Again, $36 on the money line against the Orioles. And like I said, I wish there was I could buy a share of an Aaron Judge home run on Sport Trade. Hopefully that's in our future,
yes.
Dan.
In the summer, we are planning on having a lot of Major League Baseball props. I do want to clean up one thing. We have Yankees at 57, not 36.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just
sorry.
to clean it up. No big deal.
Yeah, 50. I'm sorry, I have them at 56. What do you have
it just moved. It moved to 57. That's all.
Oh, it moved to 57 while we were talking about
it? Earlier today.
Okay.
Yeah. These things happen. A real quick addendum to what we were talking about earlier. So we love talking about cash outs here, and I've got up my Diamondbacks trade, my Diamondbacks bet, which right now I could sell back for $96.50 or $96.50 of my total payout. The Diamondbacks are currently up 5-0 with no outs in the 6th and the bases loaded. I don't think I'm selling this one. We're going to hang on to that one and reap the full amount of cash that will be coming our way. Golf time, Charles Schwab Challenge. Now, we didn't get a chance, Anita, to talk face-to-face about the PGA last week, but you did file a fantastic video for us previewing the PGA Championship. Now, you had Scotty, who was right there until the very bitter end, finished his, I believe, T2 with Victor Hovland. Were you surprised at all that Brooks Koepka was able to finish? And a follow-up to that, what drugs do you think he was on at the Panthers game the next night? You don't have to answer part 2, but part 1, please.
I'm not surprised in regard to Brooks Koepka. Listen, he should have won the Masters.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like keep in mind, he was right there at the Masters to win the Masters. Of course, I want to say it was like late on Saturday. I want to say the biggest lead he had on John Rahm was 4 strokes. And of course, as we know, John Rahm won the Masters, and Brooks came out and said on Saturday night, I'm not going to have the same mental approach as I did at the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, and another thing I didn't like, Scotty Scheffler has been struggling with his putter. Not just last week, but he's just been struggling with his putter for the last few weeks. And I felt like going into Sunday, I felt even more confident that John Rahm was going to close it out. Maybe if Scotty's putter was behaving, I'd feel differently, but I did not. So no, I was not surprised that John Rahm won. And kudos to him. If anybody watched, of course, that Netflix special, Full Swing, you just wanted to reach through and give him a hug with his segment. Down and Out, he said a big reason why he left the PGA Tour and went to LIV was because he felt he couldn't compete with those guys anymore. And now he's been in the mix, in contention to potentially win the last two
majors.
Majors. Unbelievable. So you got to love that. In regard to this week, the Charles Schwab Colonial Country Club in Texas, it's a Parkland-style course, tree-lined, small greens. What's really interesting here, Dan, is that their fairways, from everything from the tee box through the fairways is Bermuda, but once you get on the green, it's bent grass. It's one of the only courses on tour that does not have a mix. It's full Bermuda and it's full bent grass. Once you get to the greens are running about 13 on the stemp. They've got 2 very difficult par 5s that you need to deal with. Knowledge is key here. Don't look at any debutantes. Driving accuracy and putting are the 2 biggest metrics that I'm looking at. So here are the guys that I'm going to go to Sport Trade and I'm going to buy some shares. One is Colin Morikawa. You can get him at $6 a share. Almost won here as a debutante. Lost in a playoff. 5 top 15s this season, 4 top 10s. And he struggles with his putter, but for some reason, Dan, he does not struggle here with his putter. This is one of the best tracks that he actually putts the best on. So I'm going to buy some shares of Colin Morikawa. I also like Fleetwood at $3 a share, tied for 18th last week at Oak Hill, which was really impressive. His last 9 starts, he has 5 top 20s. I think Fleetwood is flying low on a lot of people's radar. Not a lot of people are talking about him. If his putter gets hot, Dan, I think he's got a chance to win. And again, you could get him at $3 a share. Justin Rose always plays well here, tied for 9th at Oak Hill. So he's coming in. His game is on point. Emilio Grillo, I try to roll that R.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You could get him for $1. He knows this track extremely well. He's got 2 top 10s here. He's got 4 top 25s. 2 other guys further, like these are long shots that I like that you can buy right now at $1. And if on Saturday, if they're towards the top of the leaderboard, obviously you can sell. Maybe you don't feel that they're going to win, but you could sell back. That's Eric Cole, another guy who's flying low on the radar. Last 4 stops, he's got 4 starts. He's got 3 top 25s, finished top 5 in Mexico. His iron play has been fantastic. And Straka as well, 7th on the PGA Championship last week, 1st in greens and regulation, and 4th in driving accuracy last week at Oak Hill. So he's coming in with his game on point. So those are the guys that I'm going to be buying some shares on Sport Trade heading into the Charles Schwab this week.
You said debutante several times, and then I spent the next 2 minutes thinking about how much Bridgerton I've been watching of late.
Okay.
Just fantastic programming. I don't know if you partake.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, how much time you got? I mean, I don't know if you've been watching Queen Charlotte at all, but we could.
I have not started Queen Charlotte. That's chapter 3.
It sure is. You don't have to tell me. I know all about it. Finished it 2 nights ago. One final note here. IndyCar racing, the Indy 500 this weekend at Brickyard in Indianapolis, Indiana. Have you ever been to Speedway, Indiana by any chance?
I have not.
But you must. You must.
But years ago when I lived in Miami, the tour came through Miami and raced around downtown Miami. Oh. And I had some really great seats. So I have experienced it up close and personal, and it is breathtaking.
Yeah. Extremely cool. Make sure you check out IndyCar Racing, the 107th Indy 500, available to be traded on in Sport Trade. I cannot wait to see what trading on racing is going to look like. I will be locked in on Sunday, despite the fact that I know nothing about any of it. Anita Marks, thank you as always.
It's gonna be fast. You better have your finger on the trigger.
I assumed it would be fast, not quite as fast as the Kentucky Derby because they go around more than once. But yeah, it's going to be a great time. Hopefully one day we're betting on F1 and all kinds of stuff that you'll be able to trade in a moment's notice. Anita Marks, thank you as always. It's so great to see you. We do not have a show next week. Again, I'm on vacation, so we'll talk to you in 2 weeks, at which point your Denver Nuggets or your Miami Heat could be NBA champions. Either way, you're coming out smelling like roses.
It's going to be fun.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time.